This is the Mooncast.
See you, Space Cowboy.
All right, guys, welcome to the Mooncast. So I'm here with Stemaide, and I have with me on the right Osman, and on my left I have Alfred on my left, and right here I have the man with the plan. They call him the captain, so we'll just refer to him as that. If you could just introduce yourself real quick of who you are, why you decided to start a robotics company in Africa, and what was your vision behind it.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Prince Boatin Asari, but we are called by Captain. We are applying the approach of working together as a team, as a team on a journey to relieve Africa. So we work in a style that will be much more efficient in the way the military operates.
Yes.
So that's how come we are giving the titles to ourselves and ensuring that we stick to it and get work done. So Stemaide is an education technology robotics company that is focused on making STEM tools and resources to ensure that Africans would have the necessary skills they need to be able to face the future and the future of work. And I can go details into that. I'm sure we are all familiar with the numbers that Africa is going to have the largest youth population, and the youth unemployment is very high. How do we skill them to prepare them for the force? And so that are some of the motivations that came up to be able to start Stemaide. But personally, I am a software engineer by profession, and I had worked with several companies. And one of the opportunities I had was to be a technical support to one of the trainings that we are going to train teachers on how to use digital tools and technologies to improve the delivery of course content in the classroom. And I was surprised we got there and some basic ICT literacy skills these people don't have. So you have a software you're going to train them, and then the basic things that they don't have, how don't you go and teach them how to use the software?
Yeah.
And my mind was going crazy. I would assume these are professional teachers and they should have the basic skills.
Yeah.
So that you bringing in the tool will make their work much more effective and efficient. And it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
So my mind was like, why are these people don't having the skills? And so we did a deep dive, trying to get deeper into ourselves and see what is the issue. And the root cause we discovered is that when they were younger, they didn't have the experiences of these tools and technologies. So when they grow up, it becomes very difficult.
Yeah.
So if you want to tackle a problem, you go directly to the root cause
Exactly.
and apply the first principle thinking to be able to address those issues. And that gives rise to Stemaide.
Yeah.
So targeting the young ones to prepare their mindset, their skill set they need to face the future and the future of work.
Yeah.
Which is the fourth industrial revolution and all that's coming up.
Yeah, exactly. And you and me have very similar theories, because I call the period that we're in right now the exponential growth phase of technological advancements. So your niche within this exponential growth phase is robotics, which is one of the niches. Another one is Web3 and AI, which is what I'm focused on. And it's the same thing in training the human resources and being able to export that continentally into the global market, right?
Exactly.
And this is exactly your thought process. So man, it's beautiful to see another person that sees the future for what it actually is. And I want to ask you, when did you decide to start the company, and why did you choose to position it here in Africa as opposed to maybe positioning it and structuring it outside, and then maybe, you know, having the everything happening over in Europe or having it in the West versus having it here in Africa?
Okay, so during the training programs, it was when we were in 2018, 2019, and then 2020, the world came to a halt. I'm sure everybody recognized the COVID season.
Yeah.
So, you are not traveling anymore, no movement. So some of the time is a defining moment for us to actually, when we began going back to normal work, that gave rise to Stemaide. And the reason that we are doing it here in Ghana is that number one, we are Ghanaians.
Yeah.
We are born here in Ghana.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So this is where we understand our people and how they relate to tools and technologies.
Yeah.
So that gives rise to what we are doing here. And we also had a lot of experience dealing with our people.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's forfeit that we start here in Ghana, but we are not just thinking Ghana, we are thinking globally.
Yeah.
How do you prepare the mindset here in Ghana, and how do you scale across the other continent? As I speak to you now, we've had a movement in Benin, in Liberia, and Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
We are looking forward to also get into the Western market also as well through their diaspora network, where we have most of the representatives taking some of our tools and our robotics training kit to do some kind of pilot studies in some Western countries like the US and also in UK also as well. So once we are Ghanaians here, we start from the root and we are sure that we are well equipped enough, then we can start scaling to the other parts of the continent and also to the world globally.
Yeah. Wow. I think it's amazing what you're doing. And I just want to know, from your perspective, when you look at the robotics industry, what problems do you think that the robotics industry can solve for the African continent specifically? What are some of the use cases that you can use perhaps in the future and leveraging robotics and the technology to solve those problems on the continent here in Ghana or even continentally or even globally?
All right, so a lot. It's unlimitless. If you think about the potential of robotics in Africa, it's unlimitless. One of the things you would want to even mention, of course, agriculture. We have a large arable lands, but few people just go and do the farming. What we do is called subsistence farming, where you and your family, you do small farm and then you're good and you're okay. Yeah. But imagine what the application of robotics can do. You can do farming on a large scale. Yeah. And you can feed the entire world.
Yeah.
So how do we apply these technologies and tools in the most pressing areas where much more attention is not taken care of, right? So we are not doing a large-scale manufacturing here in Africa, but the things we do are in agri fields. And we believe that if we apply the use of technology in those areas and tools and robotics, we can feed the entire world.
Yeah.
And also, if you look at the manufacturing space, which we don't have majority of them in Africa, but what we can do in the field is to be able to use these tools or robotics to solve the needs of some areas where humans will not possibly have been there.
Yeah.
Think of Galamsey, gold mine.
Yeah.
Imagine you have a robot that can go deep down into the fields and dig and bring out the mine without risking life on humans.
Yeah.
So if you go deep down, the robot can do the analysis, do all the necessary things that has to do to be able to get the rocks out there instead of having human beings go deep down. And they scared, they die. When there's any cake, it breaks and everybody dies in there.
Yeah. There's
no way you can rescue them.
Yeah.
And so we can leverage on technology and robotics to be able to address some of the needs. I mean, it's unlimited. The potential is huge. But these are key areas that has been a major pressing issue in Africa that I believe that if we tackle these issues, we can go far into that. Another area is looking at even construction.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many arable lands which are not properly constructed.
Yeah.
And how do we use technology like robotics to be able to help us to do more work so that we can have connected Africa? If you are moving from continent to continent or Africa country to country, so many challenges involved, so many barriers. How do you leverage technology to be able to bring Africa as one? Majority of the Western people will think that Africa is one, but there are individual countries in Africa.
Yeah.
And each individual country is doing amazing things.
Yeah.
And it will surprise you that connecting one country to another country is one of the crazy things you want to do.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Connectivity is an issue. Language is an issue. Movement is an issue. Transport is an issue.
Yeah.
How do we leverage technology? How do we leverage robotics to be able to bridge the gap intercontinental before you think going global?
Yeah.
So it's unlimited. I can talk on. No.
want to challenge you and ask you, because as you and me both know, we're, like I said, in that exponential growth phase. And I know some people, they see this happening and they shy away from it and they get scared because they think all of this just means that I'm not going to have any opportunity to work. So my question to you is, what are your thought process and how do you perceive the future of work or lack thereof in this exponential growth phase once we get stabilized and these technologies are now being used to the masses?
Okay, so I mean, anytime you talk about robotics, AI, the next question is jobs. So
Yeah.
they're going to take over our jobs.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
the thing is that it will take some job, but it will not take all jobs. And it's going to create more jobs.
Yeah.
So taking jobs, making people irrelevant, but creating more jobs so that we can also pursue those jobs, right? So you give a use case scenario that, is it taking over my job? You need to understand what is happening in the fourth industrial revolution. You mentioned exponential growth. What are the tools and technologies that are going to be there?
Yeah.
And how do I prepare myself to be relevant in that world where robots are taking those jobs that are not irrelevant now?
Yeah.
So skills is very important. Understanding the landscape, which is why we are doing what we are doing at Stemaide. We get the young ones, prepare their mindset that whatever you are doing now, the potentials are this, and that. So we create the awareness and then ignite their interest
Yeah.
in the field of STEM.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they can pursue it further in the higher level.
Yeah.
So that in this time that happens, they are relevant and their skills will be needed over there.
Yeah.
So they're just going, some of them will go, but we need to prepare ourselves for the new ones that we will face. That we're going to create more for us and it will allow human beings to do what is deemed for us to do as humans.
Yeah. I want to take it over to Osman, and I want to ask you if you could just give the mic over to him. What are your thought process when it comes to the landscape of work? Because he's given his, right, and what he thinks. And outside of the scope of yourself, how do you perceive the youth population? Here, maybe you could just focus on Ghana, but if you could maybe talk a little bit more continentally of the mindset, on average of what people are thinking about the future of work. And do you think that being in the robotics industry is a net negative or a net positive for the future?
Well, for future of work and the sentiment I can understand from the youth, I believe that African youth are hungry. Yes, they are hungry, but then the challenge here is what is going to feed this hunger, right? Because as Captain mentioned, he walks in a room to train instructors, and what he's going to train them on, they don't have the basic skills for it. It's a challenge there.
Yeah.
And that challenge is not solved completely. It's still existing. That is why we are doing what we are doing at Stemaide. Because you realize that you walk into a room to train kids, and the moment you start showing them a few things, you are surprised at the length that they can go.
Yeah.
I remember about 2 months, 3 months ago, I was rendering training in one school, and school at Hacho. Yes, and I was teaching these kids algorithms. The first time I mentioned algorithm, like, they were like, what's that? I was like, okay, take your time.
Yeah.
So I took them through algorithm. It's just a simple process, step by step,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you take to perform a task. Now they understand algorithms. So I task them to write their own algorithms. I give them an example. Okay, you are coming to school. You wake up at home. Before you get to school, write an algorithm that shows how you get to school. And they did.
How old were these kids in terms of age range?
So they were primary 4, that should be like 9, 10 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Then I went ahead to teach them flowcharts, how to use flowcharts. And now they merge the two, algorithms and flowcharts.
Yeah.
So onward, I just give them a task. Okay, what's your name? When you go home, Google your name, how to get your name in Morse code. Now translate that Morse code into an algorithm, then put that into a flowchart.
Yeah.
The next session, we used our kit. We have LEDs and microcontrollers in there. Already, I had taught them how to program it. So I told them, okay, so all these things that we've learned, you are going to merge them, right? And then your name in Morse code, you are going to translate Morse code into an LED blinking. So let the LED blink in Morse code, but spell out your name.
And they were able to do it.
I was surprised. I was surprised. So, yes, the youth are hungry. They are hungry, but then it's like they don't have access to what's going to feed that hunger.
Yeah.
Once they get that access, you'll be surprised what they can do.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's not shocking. I mean,
Yeah,
it's everything in what I see when I look at the African continent in general. It's just about access, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're still fighting a lot of different things, you know, neocolonialism and so on. So it helps, it holds us back, right, in a sense.
Sure.
So everyone, I think once the access is there, you'll see an acceleration. I think that we will, as a continent, surprise a lot of people if we are allowed to control our entire sovereignty as a nation. And I think it would take 10 years. Like I know China, it was about 20, 25 years. I think for us it would take 10. And also because of the fact that we have more modern technology to help scale us faster, more information to help scale us faster. So we would have way less bottlenecks, you know? So it's really good to hear your perspective on that. And I want to shift it over to you to hear your perspective on how you view the youth in general, and do you think that being in the robotics sector is a net negative or net positive for the future of Africa?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Alfred Eke. I'm the ambassador of Stemaide Africa in the Francophone space. Yes, for me, robotics is a positive space where every youth of Africa can leverage, especially when we come in terms of future of work, because today a lot of work who's coming out today leverage on technology. So in the technology, how can you prepare yourself to become an expert? You have to start from somewhere. So that's where you have to study the robotics. So the robotics also can give you the idea of when we come to coding, programming, and all this one. So that's where also a lot of people who become like a software developer and cybersecurity expert and all this. So for me, robotics is a space where you can find yourself. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And I appreciate that. I just wanted to, because I've been glancing at this, and I just want to take a look at this product here. I know the viewers are probably very much interested in this, as I am too as well. So I guess what we have here is the Stemaide kit, right?
Exactly. That's the Stemaide kit in front of you.
If you could break this down to me about what this product suite is, how it's used, how it's leveraged for your particular business model.
Right. All right. So what you have in front of you, we call it the lunch box.
Okay.
Because when a child have it, he's never going to leave it behind.
Oh, I love that.
When they go,
I love
they
that.
carry it to themselves because it's their food, it's
Yeah.
their lunch box. They don't want to leave it behind.
Yeah.
Because it has various components in there, microcontrollers and sensors.
Can we take a look?
Yeah, you can take a look.
Let's just take a look and see as you're talking.
So once you open it, you have basic wires, you have some LED bulbs, you have a microcontroller in there, you have some sensors in there. So once you have this, you will need a tablet, a mobile phone, or a computer. And then you are presented with a basic step-by-step guide to build projects. So our created project covers over 200 unique projects that you can build, starting from the beginner with no knowledge or experience in coding, robotics, or anything related to engineering. So you follow a step-by-step guided approach, and before you know, you are building. We say that it is fun, engaging, and interactive. You learn by doing. You are learning how to code in C++ without even thinking about it.
Wow.
Because you follow a step, you add a code, and you see a project. So once you see the project, you're happy, you're excited, and you want to do more.
You mentioned something about the 200 plus projects that you can
Yeah.
choose from. How did you guys facilitate that? Did you leverage ChatGPT to like ask like what different projects could they build, or did you guys brainstorm that on your own? Like how did you design that to where they can choose 200 different options of what they can build, and what are some of those options that they can build too as well?
Okay, so in my initial statement, I made mention that Stemaide is as a result of running different experiences with training programs, and that shaped what we do at Stemaide. So we had the opportunity to use several of these toolkits for trainings. And one of the major challenges is that the toolkits are very expensive. So we travel, we do the training. After that, we take all the tools back.
Yeah.
So what happened to the students you've trained?
Yeah.
How can they continue with what you've trained them? So, and then we had to find a solution so that it is portable, it is affordable, and then it is accessible. So wherever you are, you have it and you can do it.
Yeah.
Now, what inspired the project is as a result of how our people respond to products or services, or the training approaches. This is more of an evidence-based approach, if you ask me, the training pedagogy.
Yeah.
And also, it's a skills-based approach. So you build on top of each other. So your project will be basically building an LED, which Osman mentioned the way he used his student to train.
Yeah.
So you build LED. The next thing is a traffic light. So the knowledge of building LED just on and off, you improve by adding a third level, which is a traffic light.
So you start with the first principle.
Exactly. And then you are leveraging on the traffic light to now do timing. So how long do you want the red to stay on? How long do you want the yellow and green to stay on?
Yeah.
Then you're building on your skills. So by the time you are building on these skills, you are improving on your problem-solving skills,
Yeah.
your creativity skills, critical thinking,
Yeah.
and then collaboration and communication.
You hear that? It's like Legos on steroids. You know?
Which is also based on reporting from the World Economic Forum that young ones of today should have 4 skills that will help them stay relevant in the future of work.
Yeah.
So we, as much as incorporating the local way of the things that children see along their life, we apply those principles to get them acquire the skills.
Yeah.
So a child, I've seen traffic lights several times. We were in school with your thoughts. If you see the traffic light, there's something you should know.
Yeah.
You know, but how does it operate?
Yes. Exactly.
Now the child knows how it operates, and when he's in the traffic light and see the light, he understands the basic concept of how the traffic light is operating.
Yeah.
There are smart street lights in the environment or in our neighborhoods. When it is in the day, the street light automatically goes off.
Yeah.
In the evening, it automatically comes on.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Yeah, exactly. And this is, you know, it's funny. I'm smiling so hard because it's the same type of thinking which I apply. I take the same principles and I apply it to my edtech platform.
Sure.
Because we do the same thing for Web3 and AI. We started the first principles of how did this all even become to be? You know, and I think a lot of people miss that step. They just get to what is this? And they're like, whoa, how did we progress here? What is the evolution from, let's say, Web 1 to Web 2 to Web 3? How do we get to AI? What is the transformation of AI? How can it be used and leveraged for your national security? Okay, so you mentioned that you had all these different components and compartments that you have in the Stemaide kit, right? And my question to you is, how affordable has it been for you to be able to outsource those materials that you need to be able to facilitate the product?
Well, it has not been easy. I mean, whatever you set your mind to do, of course, there are challenges. And so the first thing you want to do is what are the main barriers that will not help us get to what we want to do. Then you go back to the first principle thinking and break it down. So supply chain has not been easy, but we are still doing so much to be able to meet those needs and demand. So we source our components, individual raw materials, and then we bring them together, and then we start putting them together as a Stemaide kit. And so you would have a lead time to 60 to 90 days when you place an order. So within those time, you need to ensure that you have enough of the raw materials in stock so that you don't run out of stock.
Yeah.
And it's basically unit economics. So the more you are requesting for more, the more attention is given to you.
Yeah.
So if you are doing on a small scale, somebody is ordering like 1 million pieces of the hardware,
Yeah.
and you are doing like 1,000. So
Yeah.
more attention will go on to the one doing 1 million.
Yes.
So we are hoping, or we are scaling to the point where we can be heard.
Yeah.
We can have control and demand on the product that we are requesting into the country, so
Yes.
that we can be able to get large quantities into the country. That also means that the product becomes more accessible and also continue to be affordable. Affordable as less than $30, you can have one for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are working so hard to be able to meet all those logistics, supply chain,
Yeah.
and also trusted suppliers in
Yeah.
the Western Asian world,
Yeah.
so that we can be able to have constant conversation with them, agree on a partnership deal, so that
Yeah.
we can get more of them into the country, so that it can help us make our product. And there's not only one piece in our product lineup. We have different ones coming up to meet different segments of the markets that we're
Another
addressing.
suite of 200 designs, or like, is it going to be the same sort of options that they have, or is it going to be something different? Like, how are
It's
you?
going to be different.
Okay. Wow. So another 200 different.
It goes beyond that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have 14 components in there.
Yes.
We sat down with our team, each one experienced in the field of embedded systems engineering, coding, robotics. Then we start to identify what this thing can do.
Yeah.
How do we relate it to our current system?
Okay.
If you are moving towards a door and the door opens, what is the magic behind that?
Yeah.
What are the sensors that can do that? So that when you teach the child, when they go out there and see, they can quickly relate.
Yes.
So we sat down, brainstorm. We did a lot of brainstorming.
Yeah.
And then we started putting them together. So a project is a combination of a sensor.
Yeah.
So this sensor, I put them together, you make this. This sensor, I put them together, you make this.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is that when you are done teaching them, the children can sit down and come out with a combination to build a project that you've not even thought of.
That's
Osman
amazing.
has something to say.
Yeah. Go ahead, Osman. I was gonna say, because you guys are part of the brainstorming process too, right? So you guys can maybe speak on this.
Well, just to add out to what he said, the school that I mentioned earlier, they are primary 6. So primary 6, that would be about 12, 13 years. So at the end of the term, they were doing this end of term event where parents come around to see what the children have been learning with respect to extracurricular activities. So there was a cultural display, and then robotics too, we had to do a display. So with the primary 6, my partner and I just walked into the class, and then we said, you guys have to do a project based on whatever we've taught you so far. So we are going to give you a problem statement, and then you come up with a solution. Make sure your solution does not go beyond the components inside this box. And the problem statement was, okay, you have a visually impaired person, right? So navigation or movement has become a challenge. With what you have learned so far, what solution can you build out of this? So we gave them time to do brainstorming, and they were like, okay, we can make an assistive walking stick. We're like, okay, how are you going to go about this? And we're like, okay, we have a buzzer in there. Visually impaired, you can hear sound. And then we have an ultrasonic sensor in there. It's able to detect obstacles within a certain range. So they were like, okay, we can combine these two sensors and then program it in a sense that it would be able to detect obstacles from about 30 centimeters, then signal the buzzer to beep. And we're like, okay, do it, let's see. So they just put everything together, gave the whole code, uploaded the code onto the microcontroller, and then I was like, okay, now you've built the circuits, so how is it going to be practicalized? One guy was like, oh, I have a mob stick at home we no longer use, so I can bring it, we wrap the projector around it, and we have our walking stick. I was like, oh, okay. So he brought it on that day, they packaged everything, and when the parents saw it, they were like, wait, are you trying to tell us these kids did this without your intervention? They were like, oh yeah, all we had to do was teach them how to use these sensors from the very first step, and they built everything together. So yeah, when it comes to projects, I think the kit is limitless. We have documented 200 projects. That's what we have documented. But then creativity is beyond.
Man, what would you say?
Okay, yes. Just to add up to what Osman just said, I think recently we went a trip in Benin, where we have some workshop with a student who came for the program, and I guide them through the LED on the light, how to program it. Some of them don't have the idea of coding or the idea of programming.
Yeah.
So when I start asking them, okay, do you know what is STEM program? Some say no, some say yes. Okay, I asked the one who say yes, what is it about? He mentioned science, technology, engineering, mathematics. I said, oh, clap for him. So when that student said that, I said, okay, today, do you know what is about, have you heard of Stemaide before? He said, no. All right. Do you know about a sensor? No. So it means they have zero knowledge.
Wow.
So I said, okay. So when you see the light is on, do you know how it works? No. When you go to the supermarket, you see the door open by himself. Do you know the magic behind it? He said no. Like they start laughing.
Yeah.
I said, okay, when you see the sometimes you see the elevator. When you go there, he will open by himself. He will take you wherever you are going. Do you know how he operates? No. Okay. Today, I'm going to teach you only two things. That is LED and the buzzer. So the buzzer, when you see the president is moving with the car, there is noise. When you, do you know how they say no? It's okay. Teacher, you want to know? So they will become crazy to understand the thing. So then I start with the LED. Okay, do this, do that, write this, write that. Whoa! See? Okay, so when we come to the buzzer when they did it, he started making say, aha. So he give them, so they don't even want us to stop.
Yeah.
You see? So that's where when they are mentioning 200 projects, for me, he beyond 200.
Yeah.
Yes, he's beyond 200. They can do more than 200.
Yeah.
Because the child, especially the child of today, they are even crazy more than us.
Yeah.
They'll create some things. We grown ups will ask ourselves, where this child is getting this mentality. So I think yes, it's crazy. It's nice.
Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to ask you guys specifically, like, how do you deal with potential? Because you mentioned some like supply chain issues and also internet connectivity issues. How do you guys manage or deal with those expectations, and what do you guys do in terms of problem solution?
Okay, so just to mention, you don't need internet to do any of the projects over here.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
No internet connectivity. Yeah. Looking at our setting, this is purely designed from our perspective, understanding our audiences, the market we deal with.
Yeah.
Power is a huge challenge. Connectivity is a huge challenge.
Yeah.
So you don't want this connectivity and power to become a barrier to every child having access to quality education.
Yeah.
So that is why this took it, and we call it the lunchbox because when you introduce any child to it, they don't want to leave it behind.
Yeah.
They put it in their bag. They go anywhere. Wherever they find themselves, they can build something.
Yeah.
So you don't need internet connectivity to do any of the projects.
Yeah.
The only thing you need is a mobile phone, a tablet, or a laptop. And there's also a battery pack in there. So some areas where you don't have power or anywhere, you can use the battery pack to power the board and do your own projects.
Yeah.
The machine or the computer comes in when you want to program the microcontroller to do a specific task for you.
Yeah.
Aside that, everything else works offline, no internet or any other sort to be able to do that. And so for supply chain challenges, one of the major issues is the dollarization.
That's what I wanted
tariffs.
to. Yes. Yes.
No,
That's how I wanted to get to. I was trying to say it smoothly, professionally, but yeah.
So, and so it becomes a huge challenge for us. You are dealing with our local currency, which is the Ghanaian cedi, and you check the exchange rate. Today it's at this rate, tomorrow it's at this rate. At the end of the day, nothing affects the pricing. The pricing still stays under $30.
Yeah.
Now you have done times 2 of the exchange rate to get the same currency to be able to get the product into the country.
Yeah.
So we are still working on that, making sure that we do on a large scale, which will require enough funds to be able to procure over the requested budget. So if you are working with these suppliers, they have a minimum and a maximum that you can place the order. If you fall beyond that, they don't really see it.
Yeah.
So it needs a lot of resources to be able to meet their manufacturing limit so they can get more of it into the country to be able to make it to work. And also, we are also exploring local manufacturing.
That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah.
So in our lab, we have a 3D printer.
Yeah.
We have a modeling software that we model and prototype majority of the component that can be done here. So in the product lineup, we hope that 60% of the tools over here will be locally manufactured here.
Yeah.
So that we can also create more jobs and create the skill set. There's this challenge in our universities or in our tertiary schools or in our high schools is that students will go to the school and they teach them the things, they don't see where they apply them.
Yeah.
Students do embedded systems engineering and we never had the opportunity to do anything on a microcontroller.
Exactly. Yeah.
So where is the job that you are training for the school to be able to work with that?
Yeah. Some would say it's by design, but let's just moving on.
I believe that is the rise of the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
From the first, the second, the third, and the fourth. If you go back to history, we have the notion or the concept that civilization began from Africa.
Yeah.
And if you go back to civilization, the pyramid, the determined astronomy and all those things, is pure mass that began from there. That is 10.
Yeah.
But the rise of Western culture and influence moved our shift away from what we are supposed to learn to be able to inspire us to do more.
Yes.
To what the Westerns are bringing us to learn.
Exactly.
So we need to go back to our roots. And if you look at what we have here, it's a design. There's a traditional symbol here in our local currency. It's called Sankofa.
Can you translate that for me?
Sankofa basically means that if you go back to pick the things you left behind, it's not a taboo.
I love that. So mic drop. Exit room.
It is in the form of love because we inspire the love of STEM for every child. Because when everyone see heart, they think about love.
Yeah.
Showing care, compassion
Yeah.
to fellow people they see around us.
Yeah.
And then this symbol means that, okay, if it started with Africa, what happened?
Yeah.
So we can go back to our roots and pick it up from there and make great change as we move forward.
Go ahead and take a quick advertisement. So then we'll be back here shortly. Imagine 10xing your earnings capacity to 100K per year while working remotely at the comfort of your own home. We are in the exponential growth phase of technological advancements. That means AI, AR, VR, robotics, and of course, Web3 technologies taking over the job market.
At HeliCode Academy, we train students on Web3 hard skills and link them to employment in the job market. Find out more at helicode.xyz. And as always, see you, Space Cowboy.
How do you, or are you, do you have it in your business model where you can sort of do some kind of job placement, or what do the students have to look forward to after they've learned the skill set?
All right. So, I mean, I go back once again to the first principle thinking.
Yes.
You think through even before the product is out there, right? The rise of unemployment is very high. In my initial conversation, I made mention that students go to school and come out and not find anything they want to do with it because there's no even work for them to go and do.
Yes.
Right? So our first training program, we do 4 different categories of the training program. We have the Stemaide IP, which is the instructor program.
Yeah.
We have the Stemaide VP, which is a vacation program for out-of-school children who come on vacation to come and do it. And we have the education program for schools.
Yeah.
So our programs is structured such that if you come here and you do well, you can also become an instructor who can train other people.
Yeah.
So if you are from the university, you have computer science, computer engineering background and all those things. And then you come. We do the first phase. Within the first, 1 month, you are done. Another month, you are done. The third month, once you finish with everything, we assess you on your level of understanding, your passion towards it, and your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
So that when a school is requesting for robotics instructors, we have you certified and trusted, and you can go and train students in the schools. So our pipeline is that we are preparing you for 2 areas to become an instructor. Number 2, if you want to pursue further, you have the basics. It ignites your interest.
Yeah.
And according to, again, the World Bank, the report states why less than 25% of Africans are enrolled in STEM-related fields. And some of the reasons are that lack of awareness
Yes.
and career opportunities in the field of STEM.
Yes.
So if I don't know what it is, what can I do?
Yeah.
You can't be what you can't see.
Exactly.
So you show the potentials of what you are doing here now and the possibilities ahead. And then you can now get interest. Oh, I want to do STEM. I want to do embedded systems engineering. I want to do AI. I want to do robotics. I want to do Web3.
Yeah.
Because the passion and introduction is already there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then finally, we want to be also to have the skill set to be able to work in the 4th industrial revolution in the era of AI and robotics,
Yeah.
Web3, 3D printing, virtual reality, quantum computing, and all those things. So we are preparing the skill set for the new force,
Yeah.
the future of work that doesn't exist yet. I see Osman shaking his head.
Yeah,
You want to add something to it?
Well, I am a living proof of how he started the submission. You come around, we get you involved, you see what we are doing. After a few months, you have the basics, and if you do well, you are then enrolled to instruct at other institutions. And I am living proof. That's how I joined the team. When we're coming, I told you I was back in Kumasi. Yeah, so back in Kumasi, I was doing a lot of tech
Where is
stuff.
Kumasi? Be specific.
Kumasi in the Ashanti region of Ghana. And I was doing a lot of tech stuff. I mean, trying to fix laptops, broken parts, doing installations for people, playing around, making my own softwares, trying to build games and all of that. But then I realized in Kumasi, you don't have a lot of that community around. Like, you barely see that community. It was just myself and a few friends from high school. And after high school, it's like we departed, everyone going to do their own stuff. So after going through all the hustle and tussle, I became sort of a consultant, educational consultant. So I was working with one educational consultancy. But then I realized that's not what I wanted to do. Because growing up, I wanted to do something techie.
Yeah.
Being a consultant, I was like, Nah, so I quit at some point in 2022, and I got an opportunity to volunteer with FIFA during the World Cup.
Oh wow.
And
How did that opportunity arise?
well, I was just scrolling on TikTok one day, and then I just saw it.
Typical Gen Z.
Yeah. So after that experience, I was like, no, I don't want to stay back in Kumasi because I feel like if I stay there, what I really want to do wouldn't come to reality. So I decided to stay in Accra, and then I was helping a brother navigate his national service posting, and then we came across this company. The first day I walked in here, I was like, okay. I saw the innovation. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is me.
Yeah.
So after the interview, I was not supposed to be in the interview, but then I don't know how it happened, but then I was just
Wait, how did it happen?
In the interview.
You were part of that? Yeah. How did it happen?
Well, I would have thought that they were the two people who were coming for the placement.
Yeah.
So they were all available for the interview until later I discovered that I wasn't part of it.
So it was just bad luck then.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, that brother was like, tech isn't his stuff, so he couldn't come through. I was like, man, I'll come through because, I mean, whatever is happening here, I can see me in there, so I should be part of this. And then after the whole period, Captain is here, he can testify. Because he saw the potential, because I don't hide it. Wherever I find myself, I make sure that people around me know that, oh yeah, I like doing stuff like this. I mean, I literally love it.
Yeah.
So that was how come. And then I got my first opportunity to instruct at Kids Click. That's one institution around Osu in Accra here. And after that, that was when I was assigned again to Hallmark. That's the school I currently train, and I used that as an example earlier. So yes, Stemaide is all about that, and a lot of my colleagues in there are like that. Like they just come in, they see what we are doing. Oh, okay, Captain sees you are good, and that's it. You are part of the team.
That's the betting process, huh?
Yeah.
You got to just smile.
So I think that you look at the enthusiasm in the person, the passion he has to do the work, and then you give the opportunity. So once you see that in the person, why not give the opportunity? You don't care about the certificate. It's all about the skill set, the passion to do the work, and the committed efforts the candidate is showing. And this, you might not just see it on the go, but just give it some time and see.
Yeah.
And very soon you will see that.
Why do you think that a lot of founders overlook soft skills?
So I think it's something that would come over a period.
Yeah.
So it's not more like an exams where you would want to go and analyze somebody to pass whether he's good in the soft skills or not.
Yeah.
You also need to be, as a founder, to spot those potential.
Yeah.
Then it can give you some time to grow.
Yeah.
Then you can decide, is this person what we want or not?
Yeah.
And if you say you don't want, it's not any problem. It
Yeah.
moves. If you want, then you will engage and also collaborate and also advise and mentor
Yeah.
to be able to see the potential in the person. Because we all have potentials. We just need some time to be able to make that potential become a realization. So you can't, there's this conversation where Jeff Bezos was saying that all his decisions, majority of them has been more of intuition
Yeah.
than database.
Yeah.
Because you can't measure the soft skills like that.
Can't.
You need some time
Yeah.
to observe. And you, the founder, should see how you are interacting to get to the information you want from the person.
Yeah.
And interview is not enough. The person will prepare. I would say they pretend most of the time because they have they have all the answers. This is how I'm supposed to prepare in an interview. If you ask me this, blah blah blah, they will go straight. They'll go and do the test. They'll pass everything. But give it some time and see how they are rolling there's this conversation about the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. The growth mindset would ensure that they can do all things, given the provided time to be able to be constantly practicing. So you give the time and see, are you a person who is a fixed person or a growth person? How are you willing to improve on yourself? Learning, asking for help. Because majority of us don't know how to even ask for help. And then we suffer in our corner, and then we limited ourselves to what you can do. Way back, I was going to an interview before you even started all these things. And after the interview, I was there, and they were asking me, I said, okay, Prince, everything said you are good, but how good are you? I'm like, no one has ever asked me the question before, how good am I? So I was trying to think deep about it. I'm like, okay, I'm good enough to get things done. I might not be perfect at the moment, but given the time, I can learn and deliver within the specific time you asked me to deliver. So it has been one of the things I'm asking myself and asking people, how are you good enough to get things done? With guided or no guided, can you be able to be disciplined enough, sit down, spend the time to acquire knowledge? And that means you're good, because when the problem is at hand, you might not have the solution now, but having constant practice and discipline to be able to understand what the problem is, eventually you find a solution to it. So it's more of the individual having that growth mindset to be able to stay enough, have committed effort, and have this constant practice to be able to get to achieve what they want to achieve. So when I see that, you are giving the room to also do. And also, give more room. If they fail, give them the opportunity. Because most of the time, all the successes is as a result of a failure. So it's not just one time and the person became a success. Failing, learning from the mistakes, that makes them better. And they will ensure that they won't repeat those mistakes anymore. So if you ask me, that is my take on that. It's more deeper, but
Yeah. How deep do you want to go? Because we can go deeper and deeper. But I do want to touch on, because for me personally, I'll just tell you my personal experience. It's easier to find people that have like the skills, but it's harder to find people who have the work ethic to complement the skills. So my question to you is, when you find those people that maybe have the natural talent, but then they lack the motivation or work ethic, how do you balance that? Or is there a way in which you try to mold them? Or do you just say, look, we need people to have both? Or how are you doing that in terms of the talent process of how you're finding the talent?
all right, thank you. That's a thoughtful question. You can't have a one-size-fits-all, number one, and you can't expect everyone to be perfect at the same time. And so it depends on what you are looking for and how much time you are willing to tolerate. If you know you cannot tolerate for that long, you let it go. If you can tolerate and you believe that with some specific times and guidance, you can bring the person to speed to be able to be where you want to get it to be, then you have the time to do that. So you would want to give people more opportunity to do and fail and see how they are responding to failure. Whether it's related to the skill set or balancing the work ethics to do the work. If you're supposed to be on time at this particular time and you don't make it, okay, the next time you don't make it, then you know that no. Without any valid reason, then you know that you cannot be here. And we here, we are called captain and all those things because when duty calls, we answer.
Yeah, when duty calls, we answer.
Yeah, I have a question for you, because
Sure.
I wanted to know, because you've also obviously you're educating too as well. What is the science? Is there a specific methodology that you utilize for each particular segment that you do? So how does that, if there is a science, how do you from tier 1 all the way to getting to a level of where they're at least at an intermediary level where they can build their own robotics and everything? How do you get them from that stage 1 level all the way to the right stage to where they can work autonomously?
So usually what I'll do is when I get into a room to train, I would do my own assessment to understand the variables at hand, because no two brains are the same.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can walk in a room and then you would have some people having some experience and then others no experience. So to be able to fine tune your session to get them to grow, you would have to understand the people first. So that's where I do my assessment. So I'd make sure I understand them, how they think, and if it's in sync with what I am to deliver, it's easy for me to flow and then prep them all the way. But then if I notice that I have to slow down, tone down, then I do that. I think 3 weeks ago, it was last month, we had an intern and I was training him on one-on-one. So I was taking him through C++ program.
Yeah.
And I realized that I would deliver a session, sit him down one-on-one, explain terms, give him scenarios and examples. The next day when he comes, if I ask him questions based on the previous days, he struggles a bit. So I noticed it and I was like, okay, today we are not going to learn, right? I just want to get to understand you. So we had a conversation, and that was where I found out that I use, what's the word he used? I use the technical words, and he does not understand the technical words. So he would appreciate if I come down to his level. So use words that anyone can relate to.
Yes. That's the hardest part, I think, with a
Yes.
technical mind, to rebrand things into a
Exactly.
non-technical way.
Exactly. And that's one thing I relate with very well, because through my studies, anytime there's a session delivered to me, I want to relate with whatever is being taught.
Yeah.
So if you teach me photosynthesis, I want to be able to picture it and then see it.
Yeah.
Even though it's abstract, like I want to relate, I want to understand every part of the process. And it helped me because I wouldn't always have to cram definitions and all of that.
Yeah.
Anytime I see it, it just flows naturally. And that's how I like to learn. So anytime I try to get that into whoever that I'm teaching. So this intern, that is what I started with him, getting to his level. So every definition or every term, I'd relate it to an example that he can relate. Maybe use family examples, something around the environment so that he gets to understand it.
Yeah.
And that is how I've been delivering my sessions.
No, I love it, man. Because you have to, each individual is very unique, right? And you have to be very patient to be an educator. And this is something that I really take pride in, because I want you to understand the concept. The idea of me teaching you the concept is not for me to think I'm some kind of superior, right? And I think sometimes, like in the education system, you guys maybe have experienced this growing up, where the teachers kind of look at themselves as so superior, instead of just someone that's trying to transfer knowledge and skills to another person. That's how you should be looking at it. I need you to have these skills because you are the next generation that's coming up, and I can't do this forever. You know, and that's the mindset that a true educator would want, right? It's not to belittle, it's not to be condescending, but it's to actually teach, and so that one day you could perhaps surpass that person, right? Yeah, and that's the entire point. And I wanted to ask you guys, this is a question for both of you, about the outreach process of how you're able to attract people to you guys' as a training program.
How did you find us?
It was through the Nova. There was a Nova Imagineer. Yeah. That's where I met him. I met Osmond there. So that's how I found you guys. So I'm guessing, I know you guys aren't doing that every time, because that was like the grand opening of Nova.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, what is the consistent way in which you guys are able to do your outreach? Or is it just doing these sorts of events around Ghana, or how are you getting the brand exposure? Is it social media, or what are you doing?
Okay. So, like the way you found us, so we go for tech conferences, events, seminars, and we also organize a couple of them to get people to. The awareness should be there. So, as much as we are raising the awareness, we are getting people to identify that, oh, there are some people somewhere who are doing something about robotics. So conferences, we go to conferences, we do exhibitions, we do workshops, so that when you come there, you experience it, and then you can follow up with us. And then schools would also request for demo day events on their speech and prize giving days, where we will go and do a demonstration. And then the students will like it, and the following day we are running a curriculum in the school. And also on social media, of course, we do on our website, we publish content over there on the social media platform, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, X, and now TikTok. So we are making, what we are trying to do here is how do we democratize STEM education, making it affordable, accessible, and also building the enthusiasm in the young ones by creating more awareness. So wherever duty calls, we show ourselves. By that time you've met Osman, we have done 4 different activities.
Wow, that's amazing.
Before coming to your program.
Before on that same day?
No, on the following days.
Oh, on the following days. Okay, I was gonna say on the same day. I was like, what were y'all doing before? Okay.
We sometimes do. There are events that you can get 2 events one day.
Yeah.
Same time.
Yes.
So we do split
the
the
team.
team, and then we have representation. So, and we also have chapters in schools.
Yeah,
the
community
institutions.
chapters, yeah.
So
yeah.
our outreach game, I would say we are all over the country. We are all over the country, and we are getting loud. Yes, we are getting loud.
Kind of remind me of somebody I know. It's us too. We're literally doing the same thing y'all doing, but in a completely different niche. So there's definitely some synergies there too as well. I guess another question that I have for you guys is, when you look at robotics 10 years down the road, where do you see Africa in terms of global positioning in the robotic space comparatively to others? Do you see us on par? Do you see us surpassing? How do you view the landscape of robotics within the continent comparatively to other continents?
Okay, let's one go, then come.
Okay. Personally, I feel that if we are not going to be at par with the Western world, we are going to surpass. Because, as I said earlier, the youth are hungry. And what we are trying to do is trying to make the youth understand that you are hungry. Someone has heard your call. We are answering that call. We are going to feed you. And that is what we are doing. Over the years, in the course of 2 years, we have impacted close to 8,000, 10,000 children. And these numbers came up when we were not loud. Like, we were doing everything low-key. And now that we are getting loud, I'm just trying to picture the future. Like, okay, so yeah, in 10 years, we are going to see Africa doing great. Because even when you go onto the socials, you see a lot of innovations popping up around the continent. And now that Africans are understanding technology, like we're understanding how the world works, I think that unity is going to happen very soon. And once that happens, I mean, the result is unimaginable. Yeah.
No, I love it. I love to hear that. I would love to hear your perspective, because I'm smiling so hard because I think the same exact thing as you. And it's funny because you have more of a continental perspective, whereas me, I have more of a global perspective because I've traveled so much. And so I just see it. I see things changing and something is coming. You know, I don't know what that something is, but I'm sure you have this feeling that something is coming. And this is why I also started my EdTech platform too as well, because like you said, they need someone to feed them, right? And you could feel it, like the energy. as soon as I deployed this, the love I got for teaching people, and then also we were able to get people employed, you know, and in such a short amount of time, you know, in the AI and the Web3 spaces, you know, I just decided to focus on just these two niches because we don't want to overextend ourselves. We want to focus on what we know, what we're good at, and have people like you guys focus on what you're good at, and then do collabs, synergize, you know, partner, collab, and not compete.
Yeah.
And I think that's the future of Africa. But I would love to hear your perspective on what you think.
Oh, okay, so I mean, 2 years ago, now we are doing like 10,000 impact 2 years ago, and we have a growth plan that we want to impact 1 million students by 2030.
Same with us. That's actually pretty funny.
And
Oh man, yeah.
all right. So I am of the view that we are, as much as we're hungry, we need to be fed with the right content, provide the right resources.
Yeah.
Then we can leverage on that and build. But the first point of call is, what do you do with what you have?
Yeah.
So whatever we have now, let's build a skill set. Let's build a powerhouse.
Yes.
Because once you give a child a knowledge, it stays with the child forever.
Exactly.
And wherever they go, they can be able to replicate it.
Yeah.
And do better with that. So as much as we are impacting 1 million people, what jobs will be created?
Yeah.
How are we creating jobs to be able to ensure that the skill set we are creating job for it? I mean, look at the perspective of a country like Rwanda.
Yeah.
Look at what they are doing there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's
and
crazy.
amazing
Yeah, I've
things.
been there.
Yeah, and they had a plan. The education changing in 2020 policy, and 2020 to 2025, you could see. So giving us the next 5 years,
Yeah.
the whole Africa is going to be on fire.
Yeah.
With the skill set,
Yeah.
and also the most important thing, the change in mindset.
Yes.
The mindset that we too can do it.
Yes.
We had the opportunity to meet Dr. Thomas Mensah,
Yeah.
and the commercialization inventor of fiber optics in the world.
Yeah.
And he wrote, one of his books was The Black Man Too Can Do It.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
it's normal. I think we need to get out of this mindset that we're somehow handicapped. We are handicapped, by the way, but it's not through our own doing. It's through, you know, we have neocolonialism and stuff. But there is nothing holding us back at all.
Yes.
Like we were the first exporters of knowledge.
Yes.
So once we understand that, then we know that that's actually normal. What me and you are doing is not something that's an anomaly.
Yeah.
This is normal. This needs to be the standard. This is not
Yes.
something that needs to be an outlier. This is normal. What we are doing is normal. I don't want to hear anymore. The first black guy does this. No. This is normal.
Sure,
So
sure.
we need to make sure that we project that to the rest of the world so they understand that this is normal and we're coming.
Yes.
We're coming, and nothing. We're not asking for permission. We're going to go take it. So I think the rest of the world needs to really hear this and understand what's going on and be prepared for it, because we're not asking for your permission. We're not waiting for your approval. We're coming to go take it. So, and that's what I would say with that.
Sure. The information accessibility, availability of information. Of course, we handicapped, but how do we use what we have to be able to acquire what we need, and then we can also look for more. Because if much is given, much is expected. So all these numbers talking about we are going to have the youthful population, our population is going to rise up to 1.2 billion by 2050 and all that. How are we preparing the skill set? Whether locally, continentally, or globally. So once you prepare the skill set and the workforce, wherever we go, we can shine and make impact. And then we can be able to use to build what we have here. Because there's so many, you're asking me about the robotics and how it's going to help. Imagine we have a fully functioning autonomous farm. Imagine how many food we can do to feed the world. Organic food. Not the one they...
Yeah, Bill Gates and the real food, guys. The real food. Yeah.
I am the view that we have a lot of potential. So let's prepare the potential. Let's feed them with the right information.
Yes.
with the right mindset,
Yeah.
so that wherever we go, we can be able to excel. And we are even excelling.
Yes.
So we need to
Exactly.
build from that perspective, change the mindset, impact as much as we can,
Yeah.
and prepare for the next phase. Because if for not anything, there are a lot of blueprints you can see. Look at a country like Singapore.
Yeah.
Look at Rwanda and what they are doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if Rwanda did this in 2020 and 2025, it's 5 years, look at what they are doing. Think of the next 5 years.
Yes.
What is
exactly.
going to happen?
Exactly.
A lot
Yeah.
is going to happen.
Exactly. You better be waiting. Never mind. Let me. So my final question before we go to you guys, right? Just want to wrap this up, and just want to say, you're a young kid, and you see your robotics firm, right? But you're scared. You don't know how would you be able to convince them to take that leap? You know, don't have a tech background. They don't know anything about robotics. How can you convince them to take that leap and not to be scared to take that leap, and also know that they're capable of taking that leap?
Well, personally, I feel like if this conversation was like some 10, 15 years back, then I will be a bit puzzled. But as we're having this conversation now, I would say that it's going to be very easy to convince a young child to jump into robotics. Look, why am I saying this? We have technologies around, like, just look at smartphones. We have smartphones, we have social media. I mean, you are seeing a lot of things on social media. I have a little girl at home, 2 years, my niece, and she's having a tablet. And at just 2 years, right, when she picks up the tablet, she's able to navigate to the gallery to select a video that she wants to see.
Yeah.
And she knows to pause it. I mean, just at 2 years, like, and she's not the only one. Like, you could see it's a trend now in, I would say Ghana, because we are in Ghana right now.
Yeah.
But I want to believe it's a trend across Africa, because you see videos of children like being able to navigate smartphones easily. So right from birth, it's like they are born into technology.
Yeah.
So now it's easier to get them into the field of robotics
Yes.
as compared to some 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's one thing too. Before I go ahead and go to you, I just want to say, because one thing I notice is that it's sort of like when I'm on the continent of Africa, we're leapfrogging, you know, because the Web 2 infrastructure, a lot of the infrastructure is not even put in place. So you can just leapfrog into that exponential growth phase, technological advancements. Whereas it's a little bit, I feel like, harder when I look at the West to actually make the leap, because they have so many barriers and legalities that you have to bypass. Whereas here, you can just hit the ground running,
Exactly.
you know? And so I guess I'm going to take it over to you and ask you the same thing that I asked him. And I just want to hear your thoughts.
All right, so thank you. So if you ask me, the initial conversation that we had earlier on, I was talking about preparing the workforce for the new work and other things. But if you look at the landscape, right, what we are doing, we are not saying that all whatever we are doing, become a software engineer, robotics engineer, or AI or Web3 person, but for three things. The first one is understand the use of these technologies
Yes,
so that you can be able to use it.
exactly.
Because if we're talking about it and it's there and you don't understand it, you can't use it.
Yes,
So understanding is very important. The usage is very important. And then there are two things: is monitor and control.
yes, exactly. We both, we think the same exact way. Yeah.
If you'd have a home
Yeah.
and then let's use something small as a vacuum cleaner
Yeah.
and you cannot use it, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
You cannot monitor it's doing the cleaning, what's the point?
Exactly.
And if it's more functioning, you cannot control it, what's the point?
Exactly.
So as we propagate this knowledge, of course, the whole idea is to get the force to be able to acquire the skill set.
Yes.
But not just that.
Yes.
To be able to understand, use, monitor, and control.
Exactly. That's
In
exactly
any area for, because these technologies, whether you like it or not, will be
They're
coming.
coming. Yes.
So how are you preparing yourself?
Exactly.
So now back to you. If you're a young boy who are stranded, you're not alone. Take it easy. My time, I'll be more stranded than you because you have access to information, you have access to knowledge. AI is at your doorstep.
Yeah.
Talk to it and never stop asking for help because that's what's going to make you. So if you struggle and you get to a point, go online, of course, safe, safe on the internet. But I mean, you have AI at your doorstep. Just ask it. Oh, I'm doing ABCD. Can you help me do this? And then it's going to be helpful.
Yeah.
So one of the things we are doing as the strategic decision for Stemaide
Yeah.
is to make AI education compulsory for every single person who come and do training with us.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So you understand basic usage of
Yes.
AI, how you
Yes.
can talk to it to get the most efficient
Yes.
and most effective result. Because that is where you begin.
Yeah, it's true.
So we here, we believe that the skill set is very critical to be able to face the future, but also understanding the technology use, monitor, control is also as important as becoming a software engineer or robotics engineer.
Yeah.
That is my take. And also Web3.
Yeah, we're at there. Yeah. Just want to say, guys, this has been an amazing interview. I want to thank both of you guys and to the Stemaide team for facilitating this knowledge because it's very important for the future of Africa and the future of young people in general globally. So thank you so much, Captain. Thank you so much, Osman. Maybe we can do a follow-up soon.
You can find us. So just go to stemaide.com. Our website is there. You can see what we do over there. 3 core services. I think we've spoken much on the training. Manufacturing of STEM toolkits to be able to empower every child, especially in the underserved regions, and also female involvement. According to the World Bank, that 25% of the young ones, less than 5% of them are females or children or girls. So how do we bring the technology or the tools to them? And also, if you go to our platform, also we're working with organizations to be able to set up a basic lab. So in terms of when we were in school, computer lab is just the computer and then the monitor and the system unit. So
that's
we
actually true.
call it the STEMaide lab because it has to be innovative enough to inspire the child. You have a 3D printer in there. You have a virtual reality headset in there. You have your computers, of course. You have your toolkits. So that when you enter the lab, you're excited. Once you get out, you'll be able to acquire a lot of tools and knowledge. So we are also pushing for communities or organizations who want to do something for their people. You can set a simple lab with a 3D printer, some STEMaide kit, a VR headset, and some AI tools in there. So that when the children enter into those places, they get the knowledge and the skills they need. And we'll be willing to also train managers and instructors who can make sure that the place is maintained and all the equipment are being used for the purpose. And we also have the monitoring, evaluation, and learning framework that we can imply so that when you put your resources into it, you are seeing the impact. On this growth of making 1 million learners, this is how you're going to monitor, measure the impact, and ensure that whatever we are doing, we are getting the impact story out there. And to be able to make sure that people are seeing the commitment they put into it and get the result they want to see. So this is what I want to say.
Oh, that's all you got. Okay. I was like, is it Osman? Do you have anything before we go?
Well, I just want to clearly state our mission. Stemaide, we are on a mission to equip every African child with the 21st century skills that would make you relevant for the future that is coming. Because I mean, World Economic Forum has released an article saying that by the time that you graduate university, if you are in primary now, the jobs that will be existing then do not exist now. And that is why we are here. We want you to be prepared for that future. If that job that you would come to meet is not existing now, it literally means what you are going to study is somehow outdated. So you have to keep up to date. That is why we are here. That is our mission. And we are applying the principle of the USS Nathan James from the last ship. That is why we have captain here.
You mentioned that.
Yes. That's why we have captain and I'm lieutenant. We have a lot of lieutenants. We have our master chief and all of that. So yeah, that's all we are doing.
I appreciate you guys, Captain.
Just add the analogy of the USS Nathan James ship. I mean, those of you who are not familiar with it, it's basically the Navy SEAL who are set to uncover and bring out a cure that is killing the world. So we are on a mission to empower Africa with the cure of the Stemaide kit, to be able to, for the Africans to stay relevant, and also empower them to build sustainable future for Africa, and also make something for themselves when it comes to economic development of Africa and the world as a whole.
I appreciate you guys so much for coming on. Again, guys, Stemaide, you guys can find them on Instagram. They're on Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, yeah, Facebook.
And
So
also our website, stemaide.com.
awesome. All right, guys. This concludes this episode of the Mooncast, man. And as always, see you, Space Cowboy.
All right.